welcome to the very first episode of the Passion Yarns podcast. My name is Debbie. I'm the independent dyer for Passion Yarns. I've been doing this for a little over 2 years. We're coming up on 3 years in March, and I thought it was about time that I started sharing some of the stuff that I'm doing, giving everybody a chance to see what my yarns look like. Blatant commercialism, that's okay. And just sharing a little bit about what's going on in my world and about the things that I do with my yarns, and then my own personal crafting. I have been a knitter since about the age of 12, so if you take a look at me, you'll see that that's quite a while. I was taught by my aunt, who was a wonderful person, and I was very happy to have learned what it was that she had to share with me. As a teenager, I picked up crocheting and started crocheting almost exclusively up until about 10 years or so ago, when I really picked up knitting again. And once I learned to knit socks, I became a complete fanatic. So a lot of the things that I do will include scarves and shawls and of course socks, and lots, always have several pairs of socks on the needle ready to go. And I'm also doing blankets, and I've made hats for all of my family, so I'm pretty into knitting and do that for most of my time. I am the mother of 3 children. They're all adults, and I'll have to say I think they're probably the most fabulous people I've ever met in my life. I bet a lot of people say that, but of course I really do honestly feel that way as adults. I count them as my friends as well as my children, and I've been blessed to have been given 4 wonderful grandchildren. There's 3 boys and a little girl, and we're very happy with them. We think that they're also fabulous people, and probably cuter than any other kid on earth. So that's kind of where we're at as far as our lives are concerned. My husband and I are both employed, so I have to do that stinking job thing that keeps me from doing the things that I really want to do, which is my yarn business and of course knitting and crocheting. But we're working towards our retirement. We're seeing that that's probably going to be happening in about 3 years. Pretty excited about the notion of not having to go to work again every day. So that's about where things are in my life. We live in a suburb of Chicago, so we get to deal with cold days and bad weather, and sometimes some also really beautiful weather. Being a knitter comes in very handy when we are living in the Midwest. It's something to do to enhance your wardrobe, so I'm really happy about that. We live in a home that allows us the space to be able to run my business. I have an area in the basement that I can use to dye my yarns. It's a laundry room, but it's very large, and my husband has outfitted it for me so that I'm able to, I have all of my supplies and equipment down there, so I'm able to do that. And then we have this room in our home, which we call the yarn inventory room, which is of course where we keep all of our completed yarns and have those ready at notice to be able to ship those out to anybody who asks for them. As you can see, we have some really beautiful colors back here. We often attend yarn events, so we'll be putting up on our website, that's passionyarns.com. We put up on the website the different events that we're attending, and so far for this coming year 2020 we have 4 events at this point that we're ready to go to, and we're pretty excited about being able to share our yarns with shoppers who also attend these events. They're a lot of fun. They will be in maybe a barn or a large metal building, or sometimes they're going to be outside. So we have a lot of fun, and we enjoy talking with people and sharing with them. My husband is a talker, so it's great that I have him there to kind of give the husband some focus away from what it is that their wife is doing and how long it's taking her to finish shopping for yarn. He distracts them. He says very often, although I tell him he can't, that he would like to bring some Jack Daniels so that the husbands have something to do. I told him no, he can't do that. But it's a nice thought. I just wanted to give you a little bit of information. I have a book. This is my book with my notes in here. And I just want to share a little bit about what's going on and some of the things that I've learned, most especially in the yarn world. I think the most prominent thing that's happening at this point is, and everybody is aware of it, are the brush fires that are happening in Australia, and all of those poor little animals that have been either killed or who have had their homes destroyed or they've been injured, and all of the work that the rescue operations that are doing in Australia is absolutely amazing work. There has been a call that's gone out to crafters to help with different items that they need in Australia. So for the animals, I have been working just a couple of days, not very much, so I don't have a whole lot done. There's a wonderful organization here, or a group of people here in Illinois who are taking the time to gather different items that crafters are making. So it's sewists and crocheters and knitters who are using their talents to try to help out these poor little animals in Australia. So this group these ladies are working together to coordinate being able to take everything into getting it all shipped to Australia, and they're coordinating, they're providing the logistics for all of that. So that's really wonderful for the Illinois Sub-Hub. If you don't know about any of this, you can take a look on Facebook, and there's some things on Instagram, but the groups at least the group that I'm working with is on Facebook. So some of the things that I've done is I'm actually just working on pouches. So I made a crocheted pouch, and it's basically a rectangle that is folded in half and then sewn together. And this is something that this is a small size. This is something that the little animals can be in. I mean, if they've lost their mother, or if they've lost their home and they just need some comfort, this is a little pouch that a small size would go in. They have them even smaller, extra small. This one is crocheted, and it's really basically all single crochet. It's pretty simple. I made it out of acrylic yarn. That's something that they said is okay. It does need to be washed once I get it all put together. So that's something that I'll have for the people from Australia. And then this is another pouch that I'm making, and this one is bigger. Actually, this one is called the medium size. I don't know how large the large ones are, but again, it's going to be knit. This one is knit, but it's all in garter stitch. I'm using cotton yarn, so I'm using some sugar and cream, and I don't know what the color is for this one. This one is called Key Lime Pie. So I was gifted, or I was given a lot of this, so I thought this would be a really good use for it. So this is all cotton, which is a good natural fiber for the animals. And again, you just knit this and it'll be folded in half. And I think they fold the top down, something like that. And then it all becomes available for the little kangaroos or other marsupials that need to have, see, I'm smart, marsupial. But that they need to be in a pouch. So that's one of the things that I'm doing. Once there's been a lot of uncertainty about what's been going on with not only what it is that they need as far as supplies are concerned in Australia, but also just the logistics, because crafters, knitters, crocheters, sewists from around the world have become available, made themselves available, and have offered with their talents and their money and their time to be able to help out this really devastating fires that are happening in Australia. So keep up the good work, ladies. And if you're interested, again, the name of the organization is the Animal Rescue Collective Craft Guild, or the ARCCG, and they have a Facebook page that you can get a lot of information. Some of the patterns that I found came from the website theusefulkitchen.com, and then there are other patterns that are also in a lot of the different blogs and posts on Facebook. So if you'd like to get interested in that, that would be a really wonderful thing for you to do. So that's that. Some of the other things that I've been working on is just this things that I've been working on for a long time, and things that I wanted to get done. Had hoped to be able to make blankets for my children this year for Christmas. Unfortunately, I don't want to make everybody sad, but my brother, who had small cell lung cancer, reached the end of his life, and I was there helping to take care of him, and it took a little bit of time, and so my organization for Christmas didn't quite work the way that I had hoped to. So this is a blanket that I have been making for one of my kids. It is crocheted. It is out of the Red Heart Super Saver ombre. This color is called Scuba, which is a really great color. Now the reason that I chose this color for this particular child, this is for my youngest daughter, is very sweet. She got engaged last year, and she was proposed to while we as a family were in Cancun. He's a wonderful, wonderful man. We're so very pleased that he's going to be a part of our family. He's not the only one who's wonderful, but he is very wonderful, and we're very pleased that he's going to be with us. And he actually proposed to her inside of a Mexican restaurant, got down on one knee. I was crying. It was a wonderful thing. But this kind of, because this color, the way that it blends, and of course you can see the way that it's the ombre, the way that looks, it just reminds me so much of Cancun, so that I just wanted to do something that would memorialize his proposal. So again, this is for my daughter. It's crocheted, and I'm doing, I don't know what the name of the stitch is. I've made lots of different things. It's a very simple. It's a single crochet, chain one, single crochet, and single crochet. Then the following row in the chain one spaces. So it's just a very simple Afghan, but it's nice and warm. So that's one of the things that I'm making for my kids. Got lots of other things. I don't know, somebody said one time that if you're a crafter, if you're a knitter, you don't just have, now some people, that's their nature, and that's what it is that they have to do, and it's perfectly all right. But a crafter will be somebody who starts on a project, and then starts another project, and then starts another one. So you end up with a lot of partially completed projects. In fact, if you were to ask my husband, he would say, Debbie has a lot of partially completed projects. In fact, there's another room in here in our house where there is a pile of plastic bins with partially completed projects in them. So in fact, we had to get a storage unit at one point to have room for some of my partially completed projects. Okay, so I'm a little bit embarrassed about that, but at least I know that I'm a crafter. My mind is going 100 miles an hour all the time, and so I just have to do these things. So I've got lots and lots of projects, and hopefully with this year, what I'd really like to do is to be able to pick up some of those projects and complete them, because a lot of them are blankets, and it'll save me time when it comes to being able to get everything together, hopefully for all of my kids for Christmas this year. And also to use up some of my stash. So I have a lot. Although this yarn is really wonderful, this is the yarn that I sell. I have a good bit of yarn in the basement, which is my craft room. But sometime I'll like clean it up and maybe give you a little bit of a view of what my craft room looks like. But I've got a lot of my own personal yarn that's down there, and I've got it all on shelves down there. Hopefully at reach, but I end up piling things in front of it, so there's just a ton of stuff down there. So I would like to use some of that up. That's why this the animal rescue for the Australian animals is a good opportunity for me to use some of those stash. Now I've got one other project that I'm doing that I thought I saw it on YouTube, and you know, and the reason that I have so many projects going is because I see something and I really like it, and then I have to do it, and then before you know it, I've got something partially done. There are times when I've gone to pick something back up again and forgot, I didn't understand what it was that I was doing anymore, and had no way to understand what it was. But I thought this was really awesome. I'm going to show this to you up close a little bit. This is crochet entrelac. So entrelac means to interlocked, And so these are kind of diamond shapes that are done on the diagonal like this, and each row, which is each one of these squares, is actually a row. They are done one row at a time. So and this particular pattern for entrelac has you start at the right side and go across and cut your yarn, and then go back and start at the beginning again. So I'm going to have a lot of ends to weave in. This is kind of a small throw. It's doubled over, but this is kind of a small throw. That's what I intend it to be. And these are the colors of my living room, so I thought this would be fun. And I already had the yarn, so I didn't have to buy anything. But I think this is really cool. It's a crochet entrelac. I'm using crochet hook size J. This is worsted weight. In fact, this is yarn that is Lion Brand Basic Stitch. It's really pretty. It's very soft, so I've got it in charcoal. This one is charcoal. This one is called Red Heather, and then in the black. So those are really nice, and I'm enjoying working on this, but it does take some concentration, so I don't work on it a lot. Over Christmas, I made scarves for all of the adult children in my family, and I intended on making something for my granddaughter. I had looked for little all-in-one kind of hat and cowl sort of patterns, and a lot of them were looking a little, I don't know. I was really crazy about the way that the patterns were looking, and so then I changed my mind and decided, well, I was going to make her a little hat and then a scarf, or a cowl, a little cowl. And I had mentioned it to my daughter-in-law, and she was not crazy about the cowl. She was concerned about her getting her caught around her throat. So I went looking then, again, a little bit more seriously, for another kind of hat that would go around her neck. I had it right here. Where'd it go? Where did it go? Oh, I put it behind me. So this is just a little hat that I made for my granddaughter. I guess we're looking at finished projects, right? So this is, I don't know for sure if it fits her or not. I was concerned that it might not, but I'll find out in a couple of weeks, or next weekend when we're all together for another family birthday, and I will make this for my granddaughter. But I have some size 3 acrylic yarn that I got from Hobby Lobby. That was a variegated set, so it was 3 different smaller skeins, totaled 100 grams, but it was 3 different smaller skeins in the lighter pink, that's that color here, and then a darker pink and a gray together. And this pattern needed it to be a more robust yarn, so I put the gray and the darker pink together for the most of the hat, and then used the lighter pink, but also doubled up for the top of the hat, and then for around the brim. I don't know what the name of the pattern is, but I'll try to put it in either on the screen or in the notes what the name of this pattern is. So hopefully this is something that she'll like, because she really liked the last one that I made. So that will work for her. I hope so. Some of the other things that I'm doing, I did not bring up here with me, and I'm sorry that I didn't, but I don't know if you've heard about the temperature blankets that everyone was making a few years ago. There were a lot of them that people were making. Drink of water, sorry. And it's basically, you knit or crochet a row per day based on what the temperature is. And there are some people who have chosen to do it by the high temperature, and some people by the low temperature of the day. You can choose whatever colors you want to represent whatever the temperature is. There are, I have, and I'll bring it the next time, I have a list of 10 different colors based on 10 different temperatures, or temperature ranges. And I kind of chose it the way that I chose it because of the area that we live in. I wanted to make sure that I had a good variety of colors, because we don't go, rarely does our temperature ever get up to 100, but we can at times get at below 0. So I wanted to make sure that I had a good range of colors, and I know that some of the colors that I've chosen are going to be what most of the blanket is. So I'm doing mine on high temperatures this year. Really like to do one on low temperatures because I think that's a little bit more of a range. Sometimes we'll have a high temperature in the middle of the night, and it will get colder during the day. But I wanted to see, what it is that I could do. I thought this would be fun to start off with this one. I've also heard of people who have on days where they live, if it snows, that if it snowed on a day, that they would put white in with their colors, so to represent the snow that happened that day, which I think is a fun thing too. Helps you to remember. If you can see it all in one place, and you can kind of see about how your temperatures look, and if you get a lot of snow where you live, and it's just kind of a look back at the year. But then you end up with a really, really great blanket, and it's huge. My blanket is going to be 72 inches by 97 inches. That's how big it's going to be based on the number of days there are in the year. So I'm doing it in single crochet, and I do 1 row of single crochet every day, representing what the high temperature is on the Weather Channel map. So that's an idea maybe for you if that's something that you want to do, and you can kind of keep track of the temperature where you live. So I did mention that my daughter is getting married. She's getting married in August, and fortunately she gave me plenty of time to practice and prepare for her. Because I'm a crafter, I always do a lot of things that are part of the wedding, and I didn't bring anything up here for you, so I'm gonna show it to you next time. But I've been making roses that are going on an arbor that they will get married in front of or under or something of that sort. And these are all ribbon roses, and I'm going to make roses to go on some of the, for example, we're using a big picture frame with 12 openings in it, and I'm going to put some roses on that. We'll put roses on some of the decorations that we'll be having around the venue. But she wanted to get she wanted to get married in a barn. She was not born in a barn, just so that you know. But she wanted to get married in a barn, and so we found one in our park district that's very close to us. So I'm very happy about that. In fact, it is literally less than 10 minutes down the street from us, so we're very happy about it being so close. It's going to be handy on the day that she gets married if we have to run back and forth for things that we forgot. But I'm really looking forward to that. She is of course, my youngest, my last child, and I feel like as a mother, I have done everything that I could do for her. I swaddled her, and I changed her diaper, and I made her go to school, and we took care of her for her whole life, and now this is the last thing that we do. And although I'm not old-fashioned, I guess in some way I feel like I'm kind of like handing her off. It's here. You can have her now, and that's because this is kind of my giving away thing. We're just gonna let him have her, but we're very pleased. We're very happy about the man that she's chosen and the life that she's gonna have, and I just couldn't be happier. So we're excited about this wedding. Of course, we've had a lot of things to look at. There's so much to know, and I try not to find out too terribly much, only about the things that we really need to have. The venue and some of the vendors that we need, and trying to not make everything crazy, although every day we come up with something new. I'll share a little bit about some of the things that are happening with the wedding as we go, but right now I am in rose making mode. We want to get all of those done as quickly as I can, because also there are all the yarn shows that I have this year, and in fact the biggest yarn show that I'm going to have is the week before the wedding. Don't even ask, because I'm crazy about that. Oh, okay. So I just wanted to share, that's all my personal stuff and all the thing that's going on with me. I kind of wanted to start sharing, I don't know, there are things that happen in the knitting world that we don't always hear about. You do have to be very in tune to what's happening to know about the things, and not that I'm necessarily in tune. I just happen to subscribe to some of those places that tell me about the things that are going on. So I just thought maybe part of what it is that I do here would be that I would share with you some of those things that I found out from the places that I'm subscribed to. Just in case you didn't know, and if you did, you can completely disregard everything that I'm saying, but I just wanted to share with you about what I found out that's going on. And in the knitting world, or in the fiber world, everybody knows that interweave is a huge part of what it is that we find out about, and the kinds of styles that we choose, and they kind of push the trends a little bit about what happens in the knitting world. And what I found out is from a publication that I get that's called Yarn Market News. It's intended for yarn shops. I'm not a shop, but I like to think of myself as somebody who would be interested in those things. And what I discovered is that Interweave has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. They have sold many of the divisions that are part of their company. Most of the book divisions they have sold they've sold their Interweave knits, Knit Scene. If you've seen those are magazines. Those are both magazines, but Knit Scene is just for knitting. They also have an Interweave Crochet that they have sold. That as part of their book division, along with 7 sewing and needlework magazines and 9 quilting publications. So they've had to liquidate a lot of these things in order to pay their creditors. Hopefully this doesn't mean that they're going to be going completely out of business. I think they've had enough impact on what happens in the knitting world that it would be a shame for that to happen. So that's just a little bit about what it is that I found out. As I learn new things, or as I discover stuff that's going on, and maybe things that you would like to know about, then I'll share them with you as they come up. In that magazine, the Yarn Market News magazine. So in the October 2019 Yarn Market News magazine, there was an article that I thought was very interesting, and I'm going to insert a little bit of stuff in here for you, so you'll hear, we'll see some pictures and a little bit of voiceover. But what they talked about in this article was know your moth. I have never one time experienced a moth infestation. Nothing has ever happened with any of my fibers, any of my wool. It's never gotten any of my wool to sell, so this is not something that I've ever experienced, but I know that there are people who do. And the moths can, once they get into your, especially your fiber, they can wreak havoc. So I'm going to do a little bit of insert here to help you to know about the difference between a grain moth and a clothes moth. So here it is. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that gave you a little bit of something to know, something that you didn't know about before. Because that's what I would like to share as part of my podcast. I'm going to sign off for today. My plan is to record every couple of weeks. If my time allows, maybe a little bit more regular than that, but I'm going to be getting into dyeing mode here very soon, and since I work full-time, my weekends are really spent on preparing for the shows and working very hard to get all of that stuff done. So I'm going to do my very best to be as regular as possible. You'll understand, though, if my time stretches me into other directions. So I just wanted to say thank you for the time that you've spent here with me today, and to say I hope you'll be back. I hope you've enjoyed what I've had to share. That Passion Yarns is something that you'll consider, that you'll maybe take a look, go to my website, passionyarns.com, take a look at my yarn there and see if there's anything that interests you. I like to think that I make very bright and beautiful colors. I'll put in a little bit of a video that I made here about showing a little bit about what my yarn looks like, and I hope you'll enjoy that. Maybe some photos, a video, I'm not sure what's going to be in, but something to give you just a little bit of a closer up view of what my yarns look like. And I hope that you'll consider Passion Yarns and take a look at it. In the meantime, thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you'll be back and come back and see me again. I will have my contact information in the notes below, so please feel free to shoot me an email or to ask any questions in the comments, and I will do my very best to answer them in a very timely manner. Again, I appreciate you coming to stop by. Have a really wonderful day. Bye.